Hi everyone, Jess here, and today I'm joined with Simon Dempsey from Plan 3 and Alexia Leong from AirAsia. Thank you both for joining me today.
Absolutely.
So first off, Simon, how much do you think disruption costs aviation on an annual basis?
Yeah, it's there's a couple of layers to it. So I think you would hear as an industry fantastic figures to the tune of maybe $60 billion a year across the industry. We're quite interested when you kind of get into another layer where at a passenger level it averages out at around $400 per passenger, with roughly a 50-50 split across the operational cost when disruption happens and the cost of putting the journey correct again for the passenger. So like $200 loosely hovering over the head of each disrupted passenger as an average cost to get them back on your way. So it's a big number in an industry with such narrow margins and plenty of room to optimize to try to bring some of those costs down.
Absolutely, and I think it's IATA who was saying that airlines are making about $2 profit per passenger. So if the losses are this steep, it's such an important
you
matter.
really feel it, and it's there's we'll get into it, but there's a whole piece around the number one reason a passenger will choose not to fly an airline is down to how they were treated during a disruption. So, it's costly to acquire the passenger in the first instance, but then if you lose them because of how you handle them when something goes wrong, it's striking as an area to put some energy into, just to stop bleeding that loss of money and revenue when things aren't going correct. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Alexia, perhaps you could elaborate on that slightly. Like what beyond the financial costs, what reputational or other costs are there to an airline when it comes to disruption?
So when it comes to mishandled IROPS, the damage the implication, the damage for financial loss is actually as compared to the brand damage. That one is even more bringing more impact to the airlines. So in terms of, there are a few examples actually. So number one is in terms of the customer loyalty, because any negative sentiments, the bad of words from the customers may be spread to their friends, the families, and online, and it will be shared via the social media platform. So where actually it bring the negative impact to the customers if that reviews is being shared across all. So from there, eventually you lose the loyalty from your customers. In the long run, probably you will get the scrutiny from the regulators as well. The financial impact, as in you will need to pay for possible penalties, fines because of the non-compliance and of the local requirements. Apart from that as well, you probably will the airline probably will need to the payout for the compensations may be a lot as well because of the mishandled IROPS. Yeah.
Thank you so much for elaborating on that. And we've sort of, between you two, we've covered what disruption can cost an airline. But what about when we see it as an opportunity? So how can well handled disruption be used to cultivate brand loyalty, and what role could technology play here? Maybe back to you, Simon, on that.
Yeah, I think, as Alexia said, the immediacy of it, the negative experience of a disruption reaching a mass audience via social media is just really alarming. Like, it's so instant and often can happen faster than an airline can respond and say, hey, we've got this, we're going to help you. And so combating that is really key. And I think really certainly what we see in a Plan 3 context across the carriers we're working with is it often just distills down to just one question where you can ask the disrupted passenger, what would solve this for you? And I emphasize the for you because you recognize when something goes wrong, there's a context change for different passengers. A 4-hour delay means something different for many different groups of passengers. So therefore, asking a question, allowing them to access different choices and different options when something goes wrong, basically means you give them something that they can identify with as a way out of that disruption. So I think that in turn means that you see the passenger in the moment of pain, you're responding with empathy. And then by doing that, it's the opposite to what we said earlier, where the number one reason a passenger doesn't fly an airline again is how handle during disruption, the opposite to that happens, where they feel like, okay, things went wrong, as they do, but at least they responded effectively, quickly, and they gave me choice, and I was able to self-serve my way out of the jam. So I think that in turn then keeps the brand elevated and prevents people from walking because it was such a bad experience. So there's plenty of room for an opportunity to do better in that arena, I think.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and I guess that ties into the sort of flexibility and personalisation that passengers have been wanting more and more when they're getting that experience with other retailers as well. So, Alexia, if we think about AirAsia, how are you equipping your staff with the data and the information to handle these circumstances as best possible?
So before we offer what we can do for the customers based on what Simon said, so what we do internally is we need to ensure our staff is trained, well trained. Before we help you, we need to help ourselves in order to understand the product before we come to you. So what we do is we ensure our staff are trained, well trained of all, equipped with all the system, and then especially the flight disruption tools that we have. We will need to train them in every aspect before we notify the customer, before we blast the notification out. So when the customer come to us, if they are not sure on how to utilize the tool, it's our job to educate the guests, to guide them on how to do it. Apart from that, also we do scenario-based training. From there, we understand what are the customer needs, what type of difficulties they face. From there, we use it as a case study. We work hand in hand with Plantry to further improve the platform in order to meet the customer needs. Apart from that also, we do understand we need a balance in between the technology and the human touch point. So apart from the technology, the guests know how to do it. In terms of if they need further assistance, further requests, we always have the customer support at the back end to assist. So we have a chatbot and then the customer service online to assist the customer. So we tend to cover end-to-end. Technology and human touch points are very crucial.
Amazing. Thank you both for joining me today and for sharing your insights.
Thanks for having us.